got harder, hoping one day that things could change. They tell me trust the process and trust the Father. I mean, to be fair, I think all those emotions, you know, feeling angry, anxious, sad, depressed, I would say they're all natural. Literally, they say 1 out of 3 people are actually going through a type of mental illness, whether that be depression, anxiety, anything like that. So it's quite common, you know, if you're in a room with 10 people, you know, at least 3 of the people will be going through something, at least. So I just think best ways that I would kind of deal with it and that I do, don't be afraid to talk to someone. I know it's something everyone says, you know, let's talk to someone, but generally just talk. Like, it doesn't even have to be someone who you speak to all the time. Could just be just you actually getting it out makes a massive difference. Sometimes if you don't want to talk, write it down. There's a thing I used to do before. I used to write it down and then scrunch up the paper and put it in the bin. And then that would be me saying I've released it and then just let it go. I know some people do like burning notes. They write down their stuff and then they burn it. I'm not really a fan of fire, but you know what I mean? If it's for you, then it's for you. But just try different things to like channel your energy to get yourself back into 100%, or at least as close as you can to that.
Black men, I want to talk to you directly. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you seeking help. It doesn't make you look weak. It doesn't make you look less of a man. In fact, it makes you in touch with your emotions. It makes you be saying to yourself, yes, I need help. Yes, I need support. Again, what we need to stop doing is waiting until things have got to a level of difficulty as such that we're so far within the difficulties that we're experiencing that now asking for support or asking for help for a way out is too hard. So another thing about therapy, we really have to make sure that we're not waiting for something to be drastically wrong before we go and seek this help.
I think when I started to volunteer at Haringey Mencap, and Haringey Mencap is a day centre for adults with learning disabilities, and walking through that red door every day and just seeing how happy and content these people were, you know, that had conditions that were far worse than anything I'd experienced. I just said to myself, Martin, man, come on. You got to pull yourself together. And every day to now, when I walk through that red door and I look at them and I say good morning to them, and, you know, this one's is on the autistic spectrum, this one's got Down syndrome, you know, some of them have got more than one condition. And I just think, you know, if they can be happy, so can I. And I just started to find happiness in small things.
What are some of the healthiest coping mechanisms to me? But let me tell you this though, there's a big difference between coping and avoidance, because at some point in my life, I did avoid certain things as well. I struggled with the avoidance thing. Avoidance meaning, you know, the situations there, you know, you have problems you have to face. And what tends to happen, especially when you go into depression, you just stay in. Like, I didn't want to go to work. I just kind of slept all day. I started to put on a lot of weight, a lot of weight. I was like superly overweight at that time. I remember me normally at that time I would have been like bubbling between 185 to 187. I got all the way to 245 pounds, which was like crazy. So I remember me being so big and then realized where the weight came from. So part of my coping mechanism was me working out and starting to do basic routines, just simple things like, you know, getting up every morning early because I have a radio show, a morning radio show. So I'll get up. I started walking earlier before I go on the radio, and that was me. That was kind of like my coping mechanism, really and truly. It was like my my therapy outside of therapy.
I say, if you want to ride a horse, the only way to ride a horse is to get on the horse. If you fall off, you get back on the horse. If it is you feel like you don't want to do it today, just at least make the effort to at least put one foot into that stirrup to try and get on the horse. And that's what it is I try to do every day, because it's hard. It's like I have no answers as to what happens next with my body. Even today, like today, I went to play a little bit of basketball. My right elbow, because like inflammation just starts popping up from everywhere. My right elbow, tendonitis started to kick in where the elbow is literally swollen and there's a sac on my elbow and I could only play with my left hand. And because I'm good at what I do and I'm disciplined, I was still able to play basketball and enjoy the session as opposed to imploding and getting down about it and getting frustrated. I had fun with it, and that small little thing is the difference when I'm lying down in my bed later on tonight, because when I get home, I can't move for 2 and 3 days. But that moment of being able to say, well, my right hand ain't working, I'm going to use my left hand because I have 2 hands. I have to be able to use both of them. And my back ain't working as it should, my legs ain't working as it should. But when I lying down, I could say, I still had a good time. I still was able to go and do something that I absolutely love doing.
I don't know. I think I cope with it slightly differently to some people. Like when I feel those feelings, when I feel anger and upset and pain and whatever, I in my head I call it itchy. I get itchy, and yeah, music is a huge outlet. Within it, there'll be times where people won't hear from me for a while. And the reason being is because I'm trying to get, my mind right. It isn't necessarily that I'm ghosting anyone or I'm acting a certain way towards anyone or anything like that. I just need to be, I need to get my mind right. It's usually music. Music, performance, dance, writing, poetry, whatever. That is the outlet that helps me cope with these things.
At least what I've been doing lately, I go out alone. And I give myself time to reboot and think. So I go out and take 2 beers, 3 beers, and I just sit and think, listen to the music around. Because wherever I'm going, there's not many places you can go in there. And everywhere you are going, it's going to be music playing, regardless, right? So what I do, I go out and I sit and I think and I plot. That's one of them. Another is music in general. Whenever I feel, because there are times where I feel like, yo, I can't move. This is crippling. I get up and I go to my laptop and I edit something. I become creative. And if I am on a creative block, I try to push myself past it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But music and going out alone, self-dates is big, man, something that I think people should start doing a lot of. Not just females. Males more so, because we don't have any healthy breeding grounds for conversation, for expressing who we are, what we feel and whatnot. So, self-date, go out, drink 2 beers, eat a burger, eat some pasta, something, dress up nice, take pictures by yourself, stuff like that.
The community as a whole, from a mental health perspective, could really support black men to access therapy more and to access support. By listening more. If something's wrong, don't get ready to say, oh, don't worry, you'll make it through, keep it pushing. Actually allow people to express themselves, allow people to feel pain, feel sadness, feel despair, feel distress. And then when it's time to move on through that emotion, then it's time.
I think my family were very, very supportive. I think that it's very difficult for someone to be supportive if you don't know what you're going through. So if you're going through a depression and it's not that easy for you, for even, my wife, to be able to know what to do or what to say. You just have this coping mechanism that you get through. And then in hindsight, you say, well, they supported me the best way that they could. But I'd imagine that I must have been really, really horrible to live with at that time.
I call my mom and tell my mom to pray for me and ask my mom to pray for me. I would think about my grandmother and the conversations that we would have and how she would always want to hear the good that I'm doing, and she want to hear how the family is going and how the family is doing in a positive light. So as much as the negatives, let's just try to, pull and tug. I'll just try to think on that level, and it'll be hard because we naturally would soak up negatives and manifest it 10 times more than a positive, because that's just how our mind operates. And for us to just find a small little needle in the haystack to thread through all those negatives, to just pinpoint one thing that just gives you that little slither of feel good.
Self-doubt. Plenty times actually. It comes with my career in entertainment. I have times where I will create stuff and not get the feedback that you're looking for. Like sometimes you want a particular feedback and it's not happening, and you wonder like, why am I doing this? Like, is this making any sense? So there was a time when I had a lot of self-doubt, but again, through therapy and through great people around me and surrounding myself with people, knowledgeable people, and getting a better understanding, and me starting to be a little more self-aware, I was able to fight that self-doubt. Right now I'm in a position where I believe I'm totally self-aware. I understand exactly where I am. I understand where I'm heading. I understand exactly what I want to do and what I want out of this portion of my life. Like I say, 10, that is what God allotted us. So inside of that time, you have to really figure out what it is you want to do. So I think now, I always knew what I wanted to do, but that's when the self-doubt came with all of the things that all the cards that life dealt me. I felt as though that I was losing that. But now I'm back on a good track, so I feel good. I feel confident that, everything is grand.
My advice would be, don't feel that you're alone. That would be my advice. Don't feel you're alone. Know when it's fine to not speak, and know when it's fine to speak. Meaning you don't have to, if you need to understand it for yourself first, understand it for yourself, but also know that your people, your friends, your family, whoever, they're always there to be there and listen. So yeah, that's the advice I would give. Peace, love, and blessings. Thank you.
I had a conversation with my mom. I had a conversation with my godmother. I had a conversation with one of my oldest friends. And also with the support of a group or initiative called the Ubele Initiative, they would be encouraging me and say, you need to get a little bit more support, because things were just piling up and there was no way out. So in June of last year, 2021, I made the conscious effort to find, or I was directed to a psychologist where I could sit down and cipher through, not knowing that making that decision then played a massive part for when it is I ended up getting COVID in July. And getting COVID in July, and where my mental state went to a totally different level, I was able to then tap into that resource. And tapping into that resource was hard. It is hard. But the reality of it is it makes life easier for you, and it makes the people around you feel a little bit more secure and happy that you're doing the right things to help yourself. Because if you can't be good with yourself, you can't be good for anybody else.
I can tell you this though, for all of those emotions, I have one exercise, and this is truthful. I write things down. I write a lot of things down. It's an exercise that I started over the past 4 years heavily. Every time I feel heavy emotions coming on, or like I'm in a conversation and it's pretty heated and I want to say some things, I really pull back and I write the things I want to say down. And what I've been teaching myself to do very well, to do all the time, and I always employ people to do it as well, is to listen actively. Don't listen to respond. A lot of people listen just to respond. I listen actively to, you know, things that's going on with some, and I also try to listen for things that people are not saying as well. You dig? So for me, I would say I write things down. That is how I cope with emotions. I write things down.
We have been through a ridiculous time over the past couple of years. This coronavirus pandemic has had a huge impact on the Black community and the Caribbean community especially. Yes, we've had deaths through coronavirus, but we also have to remember the fact that our usual grief cycles, the way we've usually mourned, has completely been removed from our culture. So many 9 nights that we haven't been able to celebrate. So many funerals that people haven't been able to attend. We haven't been able to sing hymns. We haven't been able to drink together, eat together, and do the usual rituals that we do when it comes to death. Our grief process has been stunted over the past few years, and we've lost so many. So we have to remember to look after ourselves moving forward.